Etheria was once a land of living legends. Long ago, brave warriors across the realm stood together against an immortal evil known as the Old Ones. In the wake of this struggle, the champions locked away the power of the Old Ones inside Eternia crystals. Recently, the realm's heroes, called to a faraway crusade, have left their younger kin to tend the castle and its chores. Bored with their dreary duties, and imagining action and adventure, the pupils accidentally unleash an ancient force that has long been dormant. Now these heroes in training will have to grow up quickly. Together they will defend the Eternia crystals against those who would seek to resurrect the ancient evils.
Hello YouTube, and welcome back to Let's Play Dungeon Defenders. I already kind of started this with the apprentice character, but now I'm going to use the Squire, because I prefer using the Squire, and it's been a while. So here, once you start the game, you can level up, either in your hero stats or your defenses stats. I'm going to level up my defenses, because playing solo, you pretty much have to do like a builder defense, tower defense type of person. I'm sure there are some people who can just be a hero character, meaning that they just upgrade their hero defenses or hero stats and just defeat all the monsters by themselves. But I am not that person. I am just going to use my defenses. Now, I should probably be like explaining, like, oh, this tower does that, and that tower does this, but well, the spike blockade is just a wall with spikes on it, so any enemies that come in contact with it and or attack it will just be damaged and slightly knocked back. I've already got full mana in the bottom left corner. You can see 40 out of 40. So there's no real point in me getting the rest of the mana. Now, for any of you who don't know, this game is a tower defense RPG hack and slash real-time strategy first-person shooter type of game. Not all at once technically, but it has very tower defense basics with some hack and slash RPG thrown in, and then depending on what character you are, you could either have an RPG or a real-time strategy type of game. So anyways, because I am the Squire, I have a sword that I can swing around, and I have these towers, the spike blockades, and I have 4 other towers, but I have to level up to use them. And the problem with starting off with the Squire is that their towers aren't long range yet, or at least the spike blockade isn't, so you have to go in and actually attack the enemies. But a good thing about them is that their swords, or their attacks, are generally pretty strong. And there's nothing really I can do, so I'm just going to start the round. Anyways. If you're familiar with the Bloons Tower Defense games, then the combat phase and the build phase are kind of like when you start the round or when you're still waiting to start the round. You can build stuff either time. You can build in the combat phase, but you build slower. So it's better to build in the build phase, obviously. And in the higher difficulties, you have a timer for how long you can actually stay in the build phase. But just for medium that I'm on, you can build forever, pretty much. Let's see. Just as the Squire, just swinging my sword. So you get these archers, which are always the more annoying enemies because, you know, they have long range, and right now my towers don't have long range. This is also equipment that obviously just gives you stats, but it's not that important at the very beginning because they don't give you very many stats, and they don't give you very many stats, and it doesn't really matter because you're not really fighting that many enemies, at least for me. I'm just going to repair these towers a little bit, or these spike blockades, just because they got a little hurt. Because, I mean, the point of the tower is to take damage, so that explains why they get hurt. And this is just the intro beginning level, so it's going to be a little boring, because I don't have my second... There's only really 2 towers that I use as the Squire, the spike blockade and the harpoon turret. And I pretty much only use those 2 because they're all you really need. The spike blockade has good health, so it can like take all the damage that you need it to, pretty much. And then the harpoon turret has really good range. It can attack all minion or enemy types, so you know, it's good. There's obviously some downsides to using just those 2, but I'd say that the pros totally outweigh the cons. And come on, I'll explain the other towers when I get them, but for the most part I'm just going to be using the spike blockade and harpoon turret. The bowling ball turret I actually do use in 1 or 2 levels, but I really don't need to, and it probably would be better if I used the harpoon turret in some of them, but I'll explain all that later. Let's see. Also, like I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, I did kind of already start a Dungeon Defenders Let's Play, but I was using the apprentice character, and after I got to a certain point in one of the levels, I had run out of room on my computer to record, so it like cut off halfway through the video, and then I was trying to figure out what to do and I accidentally deleted the footage that I had of that level up to that point. So that got me kind of frustrated, and I just kind of stopped. Plus, like, no one had really watched or commented or anything, so again, like, I don't mean that as like a complaint. It's just, if no one's watching or commenting, then I don't really see the point in continuing it, especially if I, you know, get frustrated and delete half the file or whatever. So yeah, if you do like this series and you want me to continue, then make sure either to like the video or just comment saying like, oh, cool video or something, just so that I know that someone's actually watching and wants to keep watching. So yeah, and now that now that it's the next round, round 4, there are these new enemies, the orcs, which I probably should have said, those are the goblins and the archers, the dark elf archers, which are actually kind of important that it's dark elf archer, even though there's no regular archers. But anyways, so yeah, the orcs, pretty much all of these enemies are pretty dumb, because they could probably just walk around it, but they're not going to. I really don't like the archers because I have to go in and actually attack them to finish them off. And there's a bonus that you can get at the end of each round for not using your attacks, for only letting your defenses defeat the enemies. So then the archers kind of ruin that for me. Also, there's a bonus for not taking any damage, and generally when there's all these archers, I'm gonna get hit by one of the arrows. Even if I wasn't jumping down to attack them, generally the archers can hit me. Which is just one of the things that makes them annoying. And just a couple more. Occasionally, the archers do just walk right up to the spike blockade and get hurt. So that's always nice. But it doesn't happen that often. And just repairing all these spike blockades, because some of them do get a little hurt. And that's the final wave, which in most cases means that the enemies are going to be harder, or there's going to be an ogre, which is like a little mini-boss. But in this level, because it's just the beginning, it just means, hey, it's a final wave, make sure you're ready. And I am ready. It just means more of the same. Now there's 2 ogres here instead of 1, and they should easily just be destroyed. They'll attack the spike blockade, obviously, but that's what will hurt them, and we'll win the day. And there's also an ogre down there, and really, see, the archers just frustrate me. And again, because the orcs, their attacks kind of go through the spike blockade, so if you're standing right behind it, it hurts you. See, and also you can hold left shift to see the mini-map and see where all the enemies are and what they're doing to the towers. And this is something that happens occasionally. Over there, the orc is standing off to the side, so his axe isn't, or his axe is hitting the spike blockade, but he isn't. And he's actually kind of stuck in the floor a little. and I shouldn't have jumped right as he was attacking. But I just need to attack him a little bit, aggro him away, or just kill him. That works too. Just kind of get his attention on you, lead him kind of away from that corner, and then just leave him alone and he'll go back to the spike blockade, and usually he'll just start getting hit by it again. Everyone's dead here? Okay. And obviously the spike blockades aren't invincible, so you do have to keep an eye on them, especially in earlier rounds, just to make sure that your defenses are alive. And I'm pretty sure after this round I'll be able to level up, so that I'll be able to carry 100 mana, which will allow me to upgrade the towers, or the spike blockades, which, I mean, I guess that you could still call them towers, even though they're just walls. So yeah, at the end of each level, once all the waves are done, then the defenses go away, because that's how they work, I guess. And there's a bunch of equipment, but again, I don't need it. And I should also kind of explain this a little bit. For me, I always just upgrade everything once, just really evenly, because health is always nice to have health. Base damage, that increases the amount of damage the spike blockade does when it gets hit. The range, or the area of effect, that doesn't actually affect the spike blockade because they don't have any kind of ranged attack, but the harpoon turrets do get affected, so that's why I'm giving it to them. And the attack rate, same thing, the spike blockades only attack when they get hit, so giving them more attack rate doesn't do anything. But obviously the harpoon turret does have an attack rate, so it does help them. Something that I've kind of liked doing in the past is having one Squire where I only increase their health, their defense health, and use just him to build the spike blockades, and then using another Squire to only upgrade these three, so that the harpoon turret has better range, better attack rate, and you can place them a little farther away from the spike blockade so that you're making sure they're not getting hurt because they'll have low health, while the spike blockade has way more health than it would normally have. I'm guessing like 4 times as much health. So that's an interesting strategy that you could use, but then you have to use two characters, which means you have to level them up both separately unless you have like 2 controllers or something. And also, I'm playing this on the computer, but there is a way, I think, to do like a local 2-player thing, but I have no idea how to do it. Like, I have an extra keyboard hooked up to my laptop, and like I can't use the mouse on the laptop with the mouse on that, like a wireless mouse that I have. So I don't know how to use it exactly, because that would be very helpful for me to use 2 players so I can level up them both, like I said. Also, another thing, at the end of the level, there's mana that's left over from the enemies or in the chests, and you can pick it up now because, as you can see, I've got like literally 1 billion, almost 2 billion mana. That's because I was using some kind of mod type thing, and just gave myself a bunch of mana and a bunch of awesome stats and everything, but I stopped doing that. But I never really got rid of the mana for some reason. And I never really use it now because I feel like it would just be cheating to use my essentially infinite mana. So I never really use it. Also, in case you're wondering, all those enemies, they're coming up here to attack this crystal. So, you know, that's what I'm supposed to defend. Even though it's dungeon defenders, I'm kind of like a crystal defender. But, oh well. And this is the Defender's Forge, where you can go in, look at your hero info, and equip items and stuff. Or look at your item box, where I've got a whole bunch of epic stat stuff. I totally forgot these were here, actually. But again, I never really use those because of all of their super overpoweredness. And then swap hero for the other classes or whatever. So that's it for this episode. I hope you like this little intro, beginning tutorial type thing. And again, just remember, if you're still watching, remember to comment or something. Just give me some way of knowing that someone's watching this and would actually like me to continue it. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.